Thank you very much, Ruth. As a government, we in Scotland believe our culture and heritage are of enormous value in helping to shape us and by binding our past, our present and our future. And it's that strong foundation of culture and heritage that helps to empower and enrich us and spurs us on to consider what we can contribute to the world. Historic Scotland has been using various forms of digital documentation for research and survey purposes for as long as the technology has been available. We were early adopters, if you like. In my brief presentation today, I want to illustrate how both the Scottish Government and Historic Scotland have contributed to the CyArk mission and explain why you should participate. The use of close-range laser scanning for recording carved stones like the Dublin Cross from Perthshire you see here led to a broader awareness of the technology potential. At the same time, Historic Scotland were pushing ahead with traditional craft skills training and developed the first e-learning packages to help train our stonemasons. And the broad potential of digital technologies and the historic environment were becoming increasingly clear, building on Scotland's success in other digital media fields. The establishment of a research partnership between Historic Scotland and Glasgow School of Art in 2005 started to develop their skills in digital documentation and laser scanning in particular. The early work tested the technology and its potential application. At this point, we were introduced to the work of CyArk, and Ben travelled to Glasgow to meet representatives of Historic Scotland. The Scottish Government thought that the research had potential in its own right, but could also demonstrate that cultural heritage could also be cutting edge in terms of the application of technology. CyArk were keen that we shared Scotland's expertise with others and contributed to some of our key sites to the CyArk mission. The Scottish Government scoped out the project, which would become the Scottish 10. The idea was a simple one. Scotland would digitally document its 5 UNESCO World Heritage Sites, and for every Scottish site completed, it would deliver the digital documentation of an international heritage site. The Scottish 10 has a number of aims. The core objective is an altruistic one, since we believe in the CyArk mission and want to inspire others to do likewise. Capturing our heritage and the heritage of 5 other countries to share with the world is a worthy cause in itself, but there are many other benefits to be realised. We wanted to share our expertise, but also wanted to enhance it. Historic Scotland only undertakes technical research with a real-world application, and the projects would push new boundaries, developing new techniques and building capacity for the long term. So how does it work? For each site, around 2 weeks are allocated for field work, followed by around 6 weeks in the studio to create highly accurate 3-dimensional models based on laser scanning and other data capture techniques. Without exception, the data and all associated intellectual property rights are gifted to the site and an agreement made to deposit a copy with CyArk for archiving for future educational use. We work with the site to ensure maximum publicity for the project and to facilitate the team on the ground. Knowledge transfer is key, and none of the projects would happen if it was not for the enthusiastic participation of our hosts. To date, our 4 international projects have been a tremendous success, and the 5th one is still to be selected. The governments of the United States, India, China and Australia have quickly grasped the concept and have been willing partners. A limited liability partnership between Historic Scotland and Glasgow School of Art was established as the vehicle for delivery of the project, and with a key purpose of benefiting the public sector. Pushing the boundaries has become a key aspect of the project, and all 3 partners, along with technology firms, have found themselves overcoming an array of challenges. All of the techniques developed are then transferred to practical applications in Scotland and further afield through an active programme of dissemination. As a nation, we have been overwhelmed by the positive reception the project has had. To capture important sites for future generations is something that people readily buy into. By the end of the project in 2015, it is estimated the equivalent media value will be in excess of £5 million. The goodwill which has been generated and the long-term friendships created are worth much more. Cultural or digital diplomacy, as our First Minister has described it, has been a remarkable tool to encourage broader collaboration between countries. Scotland identified countries with whom it had an existing relationship or where it wished to develop a deeper relationship, where the project would enhance our expertise and where the sites were of international importance. The Eastern Qing tombs in China are a perfect example of this. Along with the State Administration of Cultural Heritage, the Scottish team evaluated a number of sites for participation and jointly selected the tombs of the Qing dynasty, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The team were joined by CyArk and staff from technology firms, Chinese universities and the State Administration to document a complex site over a 2-week period, using everything from drones to traditional survey techniques and even a scanning bicycle. Only in China would you have a scanning bicycle. Our First Minister visited Beijing during the development phase of the project and combined economic and cultural diplomacy. Whisky and laser scanning may seem unlikely bedfellows, but the project provided a strong collaborative bond for both countries to work round. Subsequent visits to Scotland by our new Chinese friends have further cemented the relationship. Neolithic Orkney is a collection of wonderful sites spanning back to before the Great Pyramids at Giza. Maes Howe, which you see here, is the finest chambered tomb in northwestern Europe. For a few days each year, the midwinter sun illuminates the rear wall of the cairn through the entrance passage. Few are able to witness this event, but it's now possible to recreate this alignment digitally. There's still a great deal to learn about these sites and how they interacted. Digital documentation is very much helping in this quest. I happen to know that these sites were the ones that caught Ben's attention initially and made him curious about Scotland's heritage. The work here combined airborne LiDAR, terrestrial scanning and sub-millimetre hand scanning. This combination has provided remarkable data sets for site management purposes, interpretation and better understanding of the monuments in our care. Digitally documenting Mount Rushmore in the United States has perhaps been the most logistically challenging project. The first international site, the team had to work together to overcome technological challenges. They were originally told that the scanner would have to remain firmly on the ground and it would not be possible to suspend it from mid-air, as you see here. Another was dealing with every kind of weather that South Dakota could throw at them. The point cloud image you see here was seen across the world and did a great deal to promote the project and CyArk's mission. And the data is being used extensively for interpretation and site management issues at present. And we'll move on now to St Kilda, to the other side of the Atlantic and one of Scotland's most remote and precious places. St Kilda, one of a very few World Heritage sites with dual natural and cultural heritage status, is a small collection of islands off the west coast of Scotland. The remote way of life that once supported a community came to an end in 1930, but its fragile ecosystem and remote setting mean that few are able to experience it. Its digital documentation will bring the islands closer to many thousands of people and provides for the first time highly accurate survey data for future generations. And to the most recent projects, a piece of modernist architecture and one of the world's most recognisable buildings. The Sydney Opera House is the busiest performing arts venue in the world and is actually celebrating its 40th anniversary this month with various high-profile events. So I'd like to congratulate the Australian delegates in the audience for this major milestone. A World Heritage Site, of course, this is no quiet monument, but a bustling and complex site. There are no as-built drawings of the Opera House. The complexity of the structure and the architect's vision saw it described by UNESCO as a masterpiece of human creative genius. The team were determined to document every single part of the building, and the Opera House team set them the challenge of capturing every one of the million ceramic tiles adorning the structure. The data is nearing completion, and what you have seen here is hot off the press. As we reach the end of the project, although, as I said, we have one site yet to be chosen, what has it meant for us? 10 globally significant sites will have been digitally preserved forever, a remarkable three-dimensional snapshot in time, which can be revisited, researched and studied by others, hundreds of years from now. Millimetre-accurate surveys are timeless and a rich source of information. Scotland has now developed significant expertise and infrastructure in an emerging technology sector, and it continues to grow. There are plans to digitally document 345 historic sites in the care of the Scottish Government. The expertise that has been developed is being used in new and exciting ways, including an immersive medieval battle experience opening next year for the 700th anniversary of the Battle of Bannockburn. The project has reached out to millions of people, demonstrating that cultural heritage can also be innovative and cutting edge. A pilot project has just been undertaken in consideration of documenting the Forth Bridge, presently going forward for World Heritage Site status, to help manage and interpret this vast and complex structure. So I put the challenge to you. Contributing to the CyArk 500 is a noble thing to do. Helping others to do the same is a worthy endeavour. But do not underestimate the tangible and intangible benefits and value that such projects can bring. I urge you to find out yourselves and get involved, and I hope in sharing our story from Scotland that has given you some insight as the benefits that we've received, but also what we would like to continue to contribute. Thank you.